Hello and welcome once again to yet another edition of Debate 411. This is that particular place where we put issues on the table and of course get to bring people who are able to understand it better, and we get to debate those issues with one single aim or objective: finding solutions to those particular issues. And my name as always is Eugene Anangwe. There are many ways of getting in touch with us or sharing your thoughts on particular topics that we have on the program. You can tweet us at Debate411, or you can tweet me directly at Eugene Anangwe, or you can go to my Facebook page, Eugene Anangwe, and leave your comments and views over there. They say that a society is as informed as its media, and of course it is important to understand the factors or the issues that hamper the growth and development of media, and that is the subject of today's debate in the program. Who else better to help us understand this other than Lee Ndaisawa, who is actually, we need to actually congratulate him for, coming up with a TV station, Clouds TV.
Thank you.
First of all, congratulations.
Asante sana.
Thank you. And we have Shaka Kanuma. We know him through the Rwanda Focus, proprietor himself. Welcome to Debate 411.
Thank you for having me.
And we have Mr. Anastas from the Private Sector Federation and Bwanambanda from RGB. And of course, we want to look at those factors that hamper the growth of the media industry in this country. And probably the first question I would pose out there is, do we believe that we have a vibrant media today? If we were to look and assess from where we have come from our own perspective, do we think that what we have today can be termed as vibrant in terms of media? Lee?
Vibrant, a bit too deep if you ask me. We're on the right path. That there's no question. It's been so many years. Radio, maybe about 10 years? No, actually 14 years for private radio practices here. Newspapers, Shaka would know better. And I think there has been tremendous growth. Not as fast as it should be. Remember, there's so much pressure to measure up with the rest of the world. So, yes, we're on the right path. But vibrant, not yet there.
Not yet vibrant.
Not yet.
Shaka, as he says that, what would be the measurement to say that this is vibrant and this is not vibrant, as you answer that same question?
Well, it depends on your definition of what vibrant is and what is not vibrant. We could compare and say, relatively, going by what has been, what precedes us and what we have today, we are doing good. Vibrant, I wouldn't call it vibrant. I agree with Lee on that one. But we are on the path to vibrancy, and I'm very glad to tell you that we think very much along those lines. We feel that the Rwandan public, our readers, our audiences, they deserve something vibrant, yes. And I also say that there is an enabling environment to have that vibrant media that we desire. Currently, we're on the right path.
When you say we have an enabling environment, we'll be coming back to look at the issue of then why don't we have the vibrance? But when we come back, or when we come back to you, Bwana Anastas, from the private sector perspective, looking at what we have today, would you term today's media as vibrant?
No. As have said Shaka and my colleague Lee, the media here in Rwanda, not yet vibrant. But the way things are being done, there is progress on the side of the laws, on the side of environment. But I can say that professionally or financially, management, there is a lack, there is a long way to do.
There's a long way to go.
Yeah. So the media is not yet vibrant, but things are promising.
Things are promising. But if we keep having this promising environment, but we are not having it achieve the vibrancy that we wish to have, Bwanambanda, from the policymakers' part or point of view, do you agree with the three of them that we are not yet there?
Yeah, I think I agree with the gentlemen what they are saying. The enabling environment has been created. If you look at back since 2011, there are a number of reforms that have been made within the media sector. All these reforms are geared towards having a vibrancy media. The laws, the media law was revised, and some of the articles that looked like they were preventing the vibrance of this media were removed. For example, in 2009, the media law we had more than 90 articles. So most of the articles that were seen as a hindrance, for example, the startup capital to start a business, the qualification of who a journalist should be, all those were removed. And now the law we have now, we only have 26 articles. So all these were made to make the media sector easy for the operators to move. But as they say, yes, the enabling environment has been created, but we still have a gap to go. Since 2013, we had the first ever measurement of media growth in the country. As a Rwanda Governance Board, we came up with Rwanda Media Barometer. The overall score of our barometer stands at 60.7%. So that shows you that still we have a gap. We still have a long way to go. But as we were saying, the environment is there. Now the onus is upon us, the media sector, to see how we can move it to the next level.
He's diplomatically saying the ball is now in your court.
Exactly.
We have created the environment in terms of the policy. The private sector is given an environment.
Yeah.
But do you agree that the ball is now on the media's court to ensure that this vibrancy comes through?
Let me say that the Rwanda Governance Board or the government itself can enact progressive laws. But there is so much that they do not control out there. The vibrancy might also be impacted as a function of the market. How big is the Rwandan market for a newspaper audience? From my perspective, still a very small market. You cannot blame anyone for that. You can say people don't like to read, etc., but that is something that cannot be controlled by the government or anyone else. You can package your content and make it attractive and make it really look good, and you still have that problem of the size of the market. Now, what does the government do? You might have all these enabling laws, and the environment is really good. Honestly, I'm not going to complain. No one is coming.
Do you take the honors of saying it is us, the media, to blame?
No. Listen, I'm saying it's a number of factors. For example, what can you do if you are producing the best product or the best thing that you can do as a professional, and still you have this very few buyers, or the market is out there and it's not responding very well. Of course, I'll not speak to radio, and I think we don't have a radio person here.
He has radio background.
We can say that, for example, as an example of the environment that we have that has grown, you can look at a couple of FM stations. They're doing good. They're already there. They're out there actually making money. I think maybe we should all move to to radio. But there's still some that are struggling. Now that's encouraging. If you can have at least one sector of the media emerging and doing good, that means even us in the print, the magazines and stuff like the newspapers, the weeklies, there is that environment to grow.
But what's the problem then? What's the
But
problem?
then-
Where is the problem?
But there are factors, external factors. For example, you have a small market. You'll have to pay your taxes. And I'm not complaining. I'm not saying people should not pay their taxes. That is for the Rwanda. I mean, every Rwandan has to pay taxes. Of course. But still, the fact that you'll pay those taxes, it still impacts on your ability, for example, to look at the little margins that you're making. How good are you going to make your product with what you're remaining with? Are you really going to hire very good personnel? Are you going to hire very good journalists writing the kind of content, putting out the kind of content that is going to attract more buyers? Not at all. So there are those external environments. Maybe, perhaps I can speak for myself as, hey, Mr. RGB, why don't you go out there and put and suggest to Rwanda Revenue Authority a tax holiday?
So he talks about the tax holiday and the environment. We'll be going deeper into those specific factors. Lee, I'll bring you in, but he mentions the market.
Yes.
Because some people in some quarters have complained and said, but we have a small, young private sector to consume our product as the media. And sometimes even the few strong private companies that are there are not even spending. So how do they expect us to have that financial muscle if they're not spending? Do you think that the lack of spending by some private sector, institutions is due to a lack of investable products from the media that the media produces? What would be the problem here?
Shakra is saying there is a problem of market. My answer is yes and no. Yes, because we are having many radio stations, many TVs, many newspapers for a small market. But we don't have marketing strategies from those newspapers, from those TVs.
I beg to disagree. We do have
that's
them.
what
I beg to disagree, Anastasia.
Let me disagree first, and then you continue. Why would you disagree with that?
No, we do have marketing strategies, believe me.
Perhaps for Rwanda Focus,
Yeah.
but I talk, I speak generally.
In general,
In
okay.
general.
Okay.
Because as you were saying before this show, 2 radio stations are off now because of not well managing money and not paying taxes. It is a loss for private sector. Even if those radio stations are not member of private sector federation, but we are concerned by the fact that these radios are off. The second thing is that professionally, I speak as a media person. If a radio station is airing since 10 years ago and it is now off, it means that the audience no longer have access to news, to information. So on my view, there is a lack of management. As I have said in the beginning, there is a lack of, if I talk of management, it is at large, human resource management,
Financial management.
financial
and all
management.
that. Do you
And the
agree,
strategy
Lee,
is
that
to
these are some of
attract-
the problems? Are these some of the things that are hindering the growth of, the Rwanda's media? Lack of management.
Partly, yes, and I'll tell you why. Just like Shaka mentioned, our business is interdependent with other aspects of life. For example, if the literacy level is still low, who's going to pick up a newspaper? If the distribution channels are not as easy, who's going to access it somewhere deep in the village? So our product, just like any other shelf product, is interdependent on, first of all, purchasing power of regular Rwandan. Are they going to pick up bread in a newspaper at the same time in the morning? So there's so many other issues that are not just internal as far as media management is concerned. Now, in terms of capacity building, two ways you could look at it. One is the initial investment. As Shaka mentioned, empowering media partly also involves the government. And I'll tell you, the taxes on as he mentioned, are pretty high. And I'll tell you why. If you can get subsidies for the agriculture sector, and then you talk about shifting from an agriculture-based economy to a knowledge-based economy, then you might as well want to start considering that maybe you could come up with a solution in one way or the other. Paying taxes, absolutely. Everybody should. I mean, we look forward to development of the country.
That is the law.
Now, enabling our sector to also grow is a multiple fold. Now, there's also an element of capacity building as far as talent and journalists are concerned. It's another story altogether. So yes, there's an issue of management, but who are you going to manage? We need to have schools that feed us with good talent. We have to be able to go to a financial institution and actually poach somebody from the financial institution and now teach them on how to do delivery, but they understand the numbers. So there are so many ways we could look at it, not just in terms of management.
Banda, from the policy's perspective, he jokingly mentioned the issue of tax holiday. He mentions the incentives. We have incentives for other sectors of the economy, and we want to transform into a knowledge-based, and the media plays a role in that particular part. Why don't we see this kind of incentives to promote or to at least motivate people to invest in the media?
I think I won't speak for the revenue authority because I'm not the competent person, but what I know is that incentive is there. If you look at the gentlemen who bought, the investors who bought the printery with Invaho, those gentlemen were given tax incentives. From there, I think they also tried their best to help the printers. You know, we used to have migration of newspaper printers printing outside the country because the costs in the country were prohibitive. But because of the tax incentive that was given to these investors, I'm sure many have been attracted now to come back, and they're printing from here, from the industrial area.
So the incentive is there.
Yeah, the incentive is there.
Do you feel it, Shaka?
No,
But maybe let me finish.
yes,
Angwe.
okay.
Let me finish. When we talk about the media, I think we have to categorize, or we look at the media sector. Where do we have problems? Do we have problems across the board, or it is only one section of the media to the other? We look at the radio, television, we look at print, and then online publication. When you look at the rest of the media, if you look at radio, TV, online publication, those sectors seem not to have as many problems as the print media. To me, I would say probably print media suffered, I don't know whether I could call it stunted growth, because when you look at the print media, the newspapers you have and the magazines, you have over 50 of them registered. But when you look at those that are regular, those that are daily, you find a newspaper spends 30 years and it has never managed to become regular. I think Kanuma, I would congratulate him because his newspaper is not as old as the others, but at least he has managed to put it to be a regular newspaper. So what is the reason? We are currently conducting what we are calling print media survey to see what are the problems, actually what are the problems hindering the growth of the print media sector in this country. But of course, some of them we know as much as you do. I was talking to you this morning when we arrived here that when I'm in Nairobi on the streets, even today, I've spent like 3 years without being in Nairobi. But because there are some vendors who are used to me, I can even get credit. When I appear there, they think I'm around because I'm a daily customer. So this kind of newspapers reaching the customers, we have not been able to achieve that.
So it's about strategies.
Is it because of the culture of reading? Is it because Kanuma does not do his business strategy properly and he doesn't set people to circulate these newspapers? We're still asking ourselves why. And that's why we are carrying out this survey to see what are the real problems. But still, another thing that we know is that most of the gentlemen who are within the print media sector, I think most of them are there without a business strategy. If you ask them to show you their business plan, where they're coming from and where they want to go, you will not see them there. So if you ask me what we've done, probably I'll tell you what we are doing. Probably it hasn't reached everybody, but at least we are doing that survey, and we have done something to promote some of the...
We'll be coming in the next break. We'll be coming to look at now the practical things that need to be done or are being done.
I think
but as you answer that, Shaka, I want us to
painted
really
with a broad brush there.
Yes, he has done what?
He's painted with a broad brush. Now, actually, the majority of print media do not have a business plan. They don't have a strategy. Some of them do. It's a reality. We do, for example. I'll speak for myself. And so, but what we need, and what every Rwandan has to realize, is that, first of all, print media is not the kind of business for which you'll find easy substitutes. Today it goes, and tomorrow you find an easy substitute for it. And it's needed. You know, radio, of course, many Rwandans subscribe to radio more than they do the material on the paper. But still, if you have to do a good analytical piece, if you have to do a good feature piece and so on, nothing beats print. But I'll get back to the tax explanations, for example, that Gerard was talking about. You know, it's like, well, they gave an insight. It's like you're talking about a man who is having a headache, flu, malaria, and a stomachache, and you come and you cure one of them. That guy will not, you will give the guy Actifed for his flu, and he will be okay there. But he will still have the stomachache and the malaria and everything else. So then, what is the holistic approach that can really, solve the issue. Well, as far as taxation issues are concerned, for example, I repeat myself, taxes should be paid. We should pay taxes. And we do pay taxes, actually. We actually pay taxes. We have electronic billing machines in our office.
I trust you. I trust
yes,
you.
Yes, we have electronic billing machines.
Yes,
in
let's
the
go
office.
to the point.
We have everything. That is why we have TIN numbers and so on. But you find yourself being overwhelmed by those things. You want to pay taxes, then you want to pay your salaries, then you want to pay your marketing team to do to go out there and do surveys, and you
what would be
you
the
find
ideal way
yourself
then of dealing
so
with it?
So what we are talking about then is, okay, we look at solutions where possible. For example, a tax holiday would be great, and it would not cost the Rwanda Revenue Authority a lot, and it would be a holiday. It doesn't mean that that we would be going out forever not paying taxes. Same case with RGB, maybe looking at how to partner with the print media, with the media in general. How do we get people to actually feel attracted to the media sector? Because we are talking about management. Anastas was saying that there is poor management in the media. And with due respect, actually, there is poor management almost in all sectors of the country. Yeah. But the fact is that the media still is one of the weakest areas for earning money. It's one of the weakest. We do media because we actually love it. But it's still one of the sectors where you make the least money. That sector requires some encouragement. Because you can do a survey, you'll find that media people earn the least among some of the least. Well, I'll not speak for radio, I'll not speak for TV, but I'll speak for the print media.
For the print
industry.
media.
And so, consider all that. Go and do some lobbying with Rwanda Revenue. After that, go and do some lobbying with whoever is importing ink and so on and so forth, and how do we exempt that from, and then after we've grown and we are stable, then Rwanda Revenue Authority
Can
or
come
the
back to you
government
with the
has
issues of
nothing to lose
But
by
but
coming
Lee,
back.
as they are here, based on that lobbying statement that he makes, we have people or institutions that have been put there to advocate, to play an advocacy role. And from the private sector federation point of view, much as we are now seated across each other and talking on what role they should play as private sector federation and what role you should play as the proprietors of media, but do you feel well represented? Do you think the media issues are well taken to the table when it comes to advocacy by people like Anastas and, of course, Bonambanda here?
I'll refrain from pointing fingers, but one thing I'll tell you for sure, media is very broad. I mean, Shaka was just talking about the print media. Electronic media is a totally different story. We have a totally different challenges. I mean, you talk about our signal distributors. He's talking about the printers and all that. It's still unrealistic. When you honestly go back and see someone who's distributing your signal, and I'm giving you content, we sell content. We're no longer just a channel of broadcasting. Now we're content producers. Now, you have to be able to produce relevant content, and by relevant, you have to have laws that actually protect you in your land. Because I'll tell you, I will not very much want to mention names, but I'm on the same platform with other foreign channels. And it's very shameful to be in Muhanga and news time, somebody's watching another channel from East Africa. Not because RBA doesn't have news, but because there are other challenges they've been facing. That's why they haven't really delivered at the utmost that they should have. And the other thing, he mentioned about the least paid people. I mean, you will look for an alternative. If you don't feel, as much as you love it, you don't feel you're getting the right reward for the efforts you're putting in, you've got mouths to feed, and all these other things, they're definitely going to start looking for other alternatives. So we're losing talent in that respect. So talking about broadcast media, TV, radio, one of the biggest challenges we have is internal, which is putting our voices together first before we can send somebody to go and advocate for us. So there has to be, we have to say, okay, we share challenges. Can we now share a voice? Thus, we will have a stronger voice. So I think some of these things can be addressed by media owners. I very much liked the whole policy that Media High Council and capacity building being clear now that this is what they'll be focusing on. And then you've got the regulator who's now in charge of distributing, or rather giving out the scarce resources, the frequencies and what have you. So now it's a clear channel of things, and we know who to go to. But the issue is, my voice is really not as powerful.
When you're on your own.
Yes, and tabling it also in the House of Parliament becomes another challenge. So we will see laws, we will comply with the laws. How much input have we put in? That's another question.
That's another question. From the private sector perspective, what is the media doing wrong that probably is making them not get to that vibrancy it deserves, and of course get returns on their investment, apart from the issue you mentioned earlier on of management?
Maybe before answering this question, I go back to what Shaka Kanuma was raising about tax holidays.
Holidays, yes.
Yeah. I think from PSF perspective, we have what we call PPD, public-private dialogue, where we sit with people from private sector and people from public sector. We sit and
you have these kind of conversations.
Yeah. For example, for the issue of taxes, we can do. And we can do through the Chamber of ICT, which whose members are media broadcasters online, so that we can sit together, analyze everything, and then have a common understanding on the issue, and invite people from Rwanda Revenue Authority, discuss and see how to handle the case.
So what you're saying is Shaka can come to the office tomorrow and get
other people like
other people like-minded and
Shaka
have
with
this
his
conversation.
colleagues,
Yes.
I see that most of the problems are from print media, but if you talk to others, they can also tell you what is going wrong. For example, Contact FM and City Radio are closed.
But Contact is back on air.
Yes.
Fortunately.
We'll have that clarification then.
Yeah.
Contact is actually back on air. But based on the first question I asked you, where are they going wrong?
I think they have talked about them. Some of them don't have strategic plan. There are newspapers or radio stations which are operating since 10 years ago, but they don't succeed to run human resource. They don't succeed to run, to manage money. And I think from the beginning, there is something going wrong. So if they would put together their efforts, if they could create what I can call a network. For example, those who are from radio stations, they sit together and create, I don't think if there is, for example, an association of broadcasters or an association of TV broadcasters or an association of newspapers, even if they are. For example, I know FPN is a forum of private newspapers, but every time they are complaining, instead of sitting together and put on the table what they have, what they don't have, and what they
wish to have.
Yeah.
So Shaka, the association, if you're a member, is just complaining, not coming with practical issues. But you hold that thought. We'll come back and probably we'll move the conversation even forward, and also get our own understanding or descriptions of what we think is vibrant and how we can get to that particular level. Because when we started, all of us agreed that we do not have a vibrant media. But now, how do we describe vibrant and how do we get to that particular point? We'll talk about that when we return from the break, all right? So stay with us. This is Debate 411. We are here talking about the issue of media. How do we develop our media industry? and of course bring it to heights where we can say now we have a vibrant media in the country. What is your own description of vibrance? And of course, what are the things that you feel the media should be able to be doing that you think it is not doing and it has the capacity to do that? These are some of the things that we would like to get your feedback from, and of course use the hashtag Debate411. Tweet me directly at Eugene Nangwe, or you can tweet at Debate411. We are back after this very short break. Stay with us. Yes, we are ready. 10 seconds to go. All right. That's the wide, eh? No.
But if you look at African nations, including Rwanda, almost 50% comes from donors. So how can these countries that are beggars, most of these countries are beggars, you know? So how can a beggar fund another beggar?
All right.
There is so you want him to apologize to you?
Doesn't to the industry. To the industry.
Don't misquote me. You are not the entire. You
But
are a journalist.
if he so wishes, he can apologize to me as well.
No, you are not an entire.
Can I go
because
on?
he might misquote me.
This is
I
not the
know.
point.
You are not
Listen.
an
Okay,
entire.
let me
Article 101 has two clauses. The first clause says that the term of office is 7 years, renewable once. The second clause says under no circumstances. You mark that word, under no circumstances. So that word makes this article intangible.
Our constitutions should reflect the will of the people for whom they are made. The Green Party is putting itself in a very interesting position where it doesn't only oppose the other political parties, but it is also opposing a very large number of Rwandans who are saying this is what we want.
Give the Rwandan government time, but we shouldn't say, okay, they're supposed to do everything and we youth are sitting back and wait for them to set just the right environment. No.
But this is what you said. You're here. And the New Times you say is not a Bible, so you're here to respond.
Let her retract this
Yes.
statement.
No,
I don't
made in the
retract.
newspaper.
I don't retract it. Sincerely speaking, listen to me, you people. You don't fear me at all. On my age and my what, I can't really be intimidated by you.
I still have the right to blame anyone or to judge anyone. Because, as I said, yes, I'm a student, but then an entrepreneur because I own a business that employs 3 people.
Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the tweets and for the feedback. Debate411, that's the hashtag to keep using. Let's keep this conversation going. We'll see you again next time. Goodbye for now. My name is Eugene Anangwe. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us in the next break of Debate 411. Thank you for the feedback. Keep them coming. What should we do in order to build a vibrant media sector in the country? We would love to hear from you. All you need to do is be a part of the conversation and be a part of the solution. Let's not just complain and say we do not have a vibrant media, but give your own perspective of what we need to do or what we're doing wrong. Or of course, you can as well encourage and say we need to be like so-and-so or media house so-and-so so that we can be able to make it. My panelists today, we have Linda Isaba, we have Shaka Kanuma, we have Bwana Anastas from the Private Sector Federation, and Mr. Mbanda from the Rwanda Governance Board. Gentlemen, before we went for the break, we were looking at the issues of what needs to be done or what are the key problems that we are facing today. But it's important first for us to understand what would be ideal for us to say that this is now vibrant. Because if we do not have targets, then where are we heading? So Lee, in your own perspective, what would be the proper thing to do for us to say that we are now a vibrant media? What do you look into or what do you look for you to say that this is now vibrant?
I think one of the things is figuring out, I'll talk about radio now in this case, loyalty, listener loyalty, non-existent today in Rwanda. If I come today and start a radio station, I'll get a mass exodus and I'll get listenership. I can guarantee you that. Now, sustaining that long term has been a challenge. over so many years. And what will also surprise you is the poaching business. You know, where I come and poach your talent, maybe increase it by a few thousands, and then take your talent somewhere else. Am I really giving a different product? Absolutely not, if you ask me. That's my opinion. Nonetheless, what we need to do is to create compelling, relevant content for Rwanda and not try to be somebody else. We have had our own challenges. By the way, I will tell you, media in Rwanda, Shaka would probably know and maybe agree. Rwanda, we didn't have trust, public trust, because of the history of media in this country. It took time for people to trust media that now we can trust you, you know? Everybody was going into entertainment, and because there was, I'll tell you, music, playing music 24 hours or 20 hours a day is because it's challenging to go out and get content. Challenging in both ways, the talent, the money, and everything else you may think of. So for us to be able to address the vibrancy is having an enabling environment where people from the young age aspire to be what we can build today.
Shaka, vibrance for you, what would it take? What would it mean? What would it look like?
Well, of course, vibrancy means, you know, you have free thinkers out there, you have people exchanging ideas, you have several media houses, several of them that really are professionally run. You know, you don't just have a small briefcase entity which you create from one small room somewhere, and you have several of those and you say you have a vibrant media. Fortunately, Rwanda is really, we can see already some vibrancy in the radio sector, for example. We're not saying they are fully there. We believe that it's going to emerge even in the print. Of course, something we've not been mentioning quite often is the online. The online guys are really creating vibrant stuff. They really are. If you look at the kind of interactive online some of digital media are having, you can see that people are really getting there. And online is something that's catching up. Of course, what people have not yet figured out is how to make good money online using websites. You know, attracting money on websites is something that even people from the West, the trailblazers out there, have not yet figured out. They've tried paywalls, they've tried everything, but that's the future. That's the future wave. Now, talking of how we get to the future then, there's no other way to be vibrant if you have a media sector that is still not profitable, that requires, do you have an idea, for example, what it means to go to compete for a tender offered by a government agency? Let's say, let's talk about RDB, for example, and they are offering a tender. You cannot believe the amount of paperwork, the amount of things you have to collect. You have to go to RSSB to collect a clearance from RSSB.
So those are factors hindering you from being able to achieve
These are things that some of them are unnecessary. You know, if you ask someone to compete for a tender and you're asking the same person for a guarantee, a bid guarantee of 1.5 million, for example, how are you expecting most of these small guys to go out there and be able to find that money? Or you're asking them for all those documents from RSSB, from Revenue Authority, by the way, without, to repeat myself, without a tax clearance, attestation or clearance, you don't get business. It is that simple. You'll drive yourself out of there. Now, if these complications are kind of, but of course, then the government people do not, some of, I'm not talking about government people in general. I'm talking about some people you might find in those agencies. You might find someone in Revenue Authority. They are not interested at all in moving the work forward. All these hindrances. You might find someone in RDB is not interested. You might find someone in
who probably doesn't understand what you're saying.
Yeah, they are not interested in even working quickly to get your tender going, and then you'll get. And even, no matter what a strong marketing team understands, as you said, no matter how a well-managed, strong marketing team, in Rwanda everything sometimes has a place, and you begin wondering, And that's where you realize that actually the management issues you are talking about, the personnel issues come in. Most of these people sometimes are not even aware of what they're supposed to be doing, and they take years to make a decision, and it is impacting on you.
How do you come in as RGB, as policymakers? How do you come in to address such issues?
No, the issue Kanuma is talking about, the tendering process, for example.
Yes.
I don't think there is something that affects the media sector that does not affect other sectors. I think the tendering process is all the same throughout. So we could not take it as a hindrance to the media sector alone. But this is how the process is done. Probably.
So you should just don't wait. You shouldn't wait for any changes.
It's not something that is affecting the media sector, particularly in that area. Probably what happened, there's a gentleman who came to my office the other day.
Yes.
And he told me, I got so many tenders. He was showing me copies that were signed. This was just the kind of tendering process that is available. People have different service providers, but it does not necessarily mean that that service provider will be used regularly. You may have the tender.
Listen, don't mistake me for saying that I'm not saying that should end. I'm saying we manage our way around that. But does it have to be that cumbersome?
No, that's what I said.
It doesn't have to be that cumbersome.
It does not affect the media sector alone.
So if it doesn't, should it remain the way it is?
It does not affect the media sector. What I would say...
Do you have to run after someone for 7 months, for heaven's sake? For 8 months to get business worth a few millions?
I'm not speaking, I'm speaking
yes.
on the behalf of the media.
Yes.
I'm saying this tendering process does not affect the media sector
Yes.
alone. It's all the tendering process even in other sectors. But when we come to the issue of vibrancy, we were talking about of the media, I could say that though we're saying we are not yet there where I want to be, but the vibrancy is already there. Why do we say the vibrancy is already there? When you look back in 1994, we had only one radio station. Today, we have more than 35 radio stations. So when you are competing and you want to give the best to the listeners, you have to have content, you have a product that attracts people to listen to you, people to follow you. So already that vibrancy, if you look at the radio, the vibrancy is there. When we look at the online content, Kanuma has been saying, the vibrancy there, there's so many websites that have come up, but there are some that are more popular than the other, depending on the content that they bring to their audiences. So already we have that vibrancy, only that it's not going at the same pace or at the same rate across the board in all the medias that we have.
But when you say that, there are those who argue and say, yes, we might have many, mushrooming of many radio stations, but when you're asked how many of them are actually, surviving,
exactly,
very few of them.
That's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem.
And even when it comes to, sustaining even the employees that they started with, it's still an issue. And so how are you measuring this vibrancy? Is it with the number of radio stations or with the competitiveness vis-a-vis the money-making part?
Great. I think there is still a challenge. If you look at where do the media, if we're looking at, now we're looking at another aspect of the commercial viability of the media, how do they make money? I think there is a challenge that within the sector. Where does media get money from? Where do you get profit from? This will come from advertising.
Exactly.
This will come from buying airtime for companies to advertise their products. But when you look at our base for the industry growth, I think you'll agree with me, it's still very low. Even the few we have, I think there's a challenge that they do not take up advertising within the media across the board. There are some companies that even feel they don't need to advertise at all.
Exactly. And that's their right.
They have the monopoly.
It's
so as we go to that particular issue, I'd bring him Anastas here, because that's a very key issue, because these are some of the issues that most media owners are facing today. We have institutions, whether government or private, that have set aside a communication budget, but at the end of the financial year, they still have the money there. They haven't spent it. They haven't used it. So should we have a way, or how do we deal with that particular issue of compelling institutions to utilize their communications budgets? And that could be one of the ways that media houses can be able to benefit from this.
Maybe because we are on Ara TV, I don't know how I will say it, but most of, for example, public institutions, their communication budget concerns kuwaza bitera kumenya the Sunday morning show. So for advertising in the other media like newspapers or radio stations, we are not yet there. But for example, in the private sector, if we are talking about vibrancy, I think they go together. If we have content on our media, we create the desire from the public to read, to listen to the radio, and to follow the television. So it is an opportunity for the owners of these media to go to business people to search for advertisement. So we have to convince them, even if for them also there is a kind of they are not well willing, as I was saying, in the public sector. So, but I think for me, there is that issue of vibrancy from the media and the willingness from advertisers. And as Shaka Kanuma was saying, we have to get strong teams to approach those people who hold the money.
Strong teams, Shaka, but
just to chip in before
yes,
if I may, the whole supply chain of our content or whatever we do, I will create a good product and put it on a certain set-top box signal distributor. I will have done my best. They will have to have a way to sell more set-top boxes across the country for me to reach out there to the person that I'm targeting. Now, those are two business entities that are interrelated. You know, so I think now where the policymakers come in is now to make sure that the supply chain is complete in terms of the enabling environment, as opposed just to looking at it just as a broadcast media and then we say we stop it there. The entire supply chain.
So I was going to bring in Shaka because of that point that you mentioned, and he said that there even are institutions that will say, why should I even spend? You know, there's this issue of monopoly, there is issue of, I don't think I need to spend because I don't have any competition. How do we deal with that issue holistically, whether with government institutions and even private institutions, in order to have this supply chain?
I honestly think the era of monopoly is over in Rwanda. Even MTN got competition finally, and so even Bralirwa got competition. They used to have the whole market to themselves. I think that what we have done is we have harnessed whoever we can harness in Rwanda, be it in the private sector, be it in the public, harnessing them for the marketing francs that we can, for the marketing francs that they hold, that we can persuade them to give us. And we've done a good job, considering the size of the private sector that we have, and considering the public sector. My main problem is that, and this is something that very few people can do anything about, you will have people in some public offices, for example, simply not doing their work as far as getting people to. Some of them do not even want to commit themselves because tomorrow they might be accused of being corrupt. Someone says, man, you want me to sign this 70 million and you spend it, and then what if someone comes and says that, and that kind of lethargy, that kind of unwillingness to act and people doing their job, how do you solve that? You do not solve that. It's something that the country as a whole will do. They will find better managers as time goes on, people who waste less time, who feel that they have ownership By the way, someone in a big public entity doesn't even feel the ownership to say, you know what, it will be good if our company, if our institution is looking good on TV or on radio and so on, and they'll just, unless maybe the director is saying, look, what are you doing, you people? Why are you not spending? Why are you not spending this money? And then they will. But fortunately, again, that tendency is also on the way out. And it brings me back to Gerardi's assertion that there is vibrancy in the media. It's just coming up slowly. It's not yet there. It brings us back to the very first point that we are making here. It will only be vibrant and strong and interesting in lockstep with the rest of society. And we're saying, look, guys, our main issue here is how do we survive then? Of course, and many people, as you noted, many institutions, many media houses have gone out of business, especially the small print ones. Some of them claim that they are weekly or monthly, but you never see them, and then all of a sudden
they disappear.
They've disappeared forever. And they are still registered with RDB, and they are still registered everywhere. But you can't even count them, but they've gone.
They're not there.
But do we want that situation? Well, the strongest will survive. Yes, the strongest will survive. But what if there is only one strong survivor? What if in print, for example, the only New Times survives? Only. I'm just giving an example. What if in print, let's say, only New Times survives and only Invaho survives, and because of the strong institutional support they have, you know? And we're talking about a vibrant media, and a vibrant media cannot happen if you only have those media that have strong institutional support. You have to also have private people who, and then you really define Rwanda as a country with a vibrant media.
As we finish, way forward, where do we go from here? Wanambanda, I'll start with you.
First of all, let me look at the vibrancy we're talking about from two angles. The first angle is the vibrancy we talk about. Are the citizens getting value for their money? You know, that's the first aspect of the vibrancy. Are we giving our audience the right information that they need? Are we giving them information that's going to help them? So I'm looking at the vibrancy from that one angle. The second angle, Kanuma maybe is emphasizing, is the profitability. Are we running a media sector that is profitable? Those two aspects, when you join them together, I think that will give us a holistic approach to what the vibrancy we are looking for. I will agree that financially, yes, there are still problems. There are still problems which need to be sorted out as policy. As for us on our side, I think this is why we normally come up with some policy solutions. We try to organize dialogues with the media, the private sector, to see how can the private sector be much more involved and closer to the media, so that together we can build the media sector together. You know that every year we organize what we call the Annual Development Journalism Award. This is a time when we want to give incentives to journalists to appreciate what they're doing us. I think, Anangwe, you are one of the recipients this year. So individually, yes, we appreciate the work you are doing, and also we want to do it on the level of media houses. So this time around, we say we organize those functions in conjunction with the private sector. You know, we have companies coming in to sponsor and to see, but we don't want the sponsorship to stop there. But we want to look at the media sector as partners. As someone mentioned here, there was lack of trust within the media sector from both the corporate world and the citizens. But this trust is coming back, and then when we try to engage them, I think
it's a matter of now taking advantage of that new environment.
Together too. Secondly, the small, struggling, especially print media. I think we have tried to do advocacy and get some funding for them. This year we gave almost close to 20 million francs to the FPN, the Forum for Newspaper Publishers. We got them some about 17 laptops, cameras, you know, and even trying to pay for them the rent of where they work from. Not just to say that we shall keep them that way, but to see that at least the money they would have spent on that is saved to make sure that they become self-sustaining. Even individual media houses, I think the small ones, Kanuma is, though he's putting himself down, I think he's somewhere. After New Times and Ivao, I think he comes third. So I don't think he's the guy who needs our incentive of 2 million. We think he's almost making it there. But the small ones who are trading, I think there's some advocacy and even financial support to see them at least they're pushed to another level.
Right. From your perspective, private sector, in just few seconds, like let's say 35 seconds, where do we go from here? What would you say as your parting words?
Mine is to call upon for media solidarity, but in the way that things will be done in more than it is being done today.
So you need to improve.
They improve. They don't complain every time. They sit, they analyze their problems, their challenges, and find solutions.
Okay.
Second is if I call for solidarity, is to approach also the private sector. That's where money is, and that's where advertisers are. And I think collaboration between the media and the Secretariat of Private Sector Federation can be useful.
Can be useful. Thank you. Lee, in a very simple words, because we are done. Time is up.
I think aside what they just mentioned, which is absolutely accurate, there also is need for the private sector to invest and, of course, extend their trust into our business. Because I believe it's a mutual benefit going forward, as just opposed to not looking beyond the horizons. But we are doing our job, that I would tell you. Shaka Kanuma and all the colleagues that have been doing tremendous work over the last 10 years. It's just a matter of now making sure that there's synergy and partnerships as opposed to looking at it as competition. And then we will get there.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. That's all the time we had. And of course, Shaka, I wanted to give you, but of course you had mentioned some, but very briefly then.
Very brief.
Yes.
Let's not be seen to be complaining only. Let's say that the solution can be found in some of the things we've said. Having said that, the bottom line is the media in Rwanda is much better off today. The environment is much better off today than it was even 5 years ago.
Right.
So there's always improvement.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Asanteni Sana. And of course, it's a conversation which we'll keep having, right here, because it's not just a one-day kind of talk and getting answers or solutions to it. Thank you so much for your insights. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the feedback. Keep them coming. The conversation has ended here on the show, but of course it has to continue out there on social media platforms. Keep talking. Tell us what your views are on the issues of building a vibrant media industry in the country. What should be done, or what are we not doing correct, or what should we keep doing for us to get to that particular level that we all aspire to be. We'll see you again next time for another debating edition of Debate 411. My name, as always, is Eugene Anangwe. See you next time.
This is an EA production.